Hey, what's happening? This is Jason Luna, another edition of Jason's Lunatic take on comic books. Tick. The second tick is silent. Gonna do something a little different today. Well, I'm not talking about a comic book. It's I just saw the movie Free Guy, so I wanna give my spiel on it. Um, there are there are heavy spoilers. The only reason I was gonna say there's not spoilers is because this movie's not that great and predictable. So if you wanted to see it, you saw it. You probably don't want to see it. I got a new microphone today, so please let me know if I'm doing this wrong. Let me know how bad the audio sounds. Okay, so let's talk about Free Guy. So of course, like I said, Free Guy is not a comic book movie, but I would argue it's in the same tentpole space to the MCU or DCEU. Who thinks of the DCEU off the top of their head? But so it's in that same space, which raises a good question up front. Is this supposed to be better than a comic book movie? Comic movies have won very few Oscars. Free Guy ain't winning zero. It's not gonna happen. But it's just funny that this is technically on a higher level because you might say, oh, it's an original story or it's more acting based, but both those things are very tenuous, as we will see. Um, it's not, the MCU goes back to Marvel Comics, which is at least partially in the, cultural zeitgeist as far back as the 1960s. This is based on video games, not really going as far back. I would argue, it's very pretty recently minded. I think generic video games versus comic books. Generic video games turns out is worse because imagine instead of getting a movie like Captain America or Shang-Chi, these characters where you have something in mind and you're like, oh, that's awesome, finally Asian American representation, or I like the last Captain America movie, or whatever. You got a movie that was instead of those, you got a movie that was like comic book guys, and it's like you strip the names off and you make it super generic, and then you get some cheap, like, oh, I have superpowers and do stuff. It's like that movie Sky High. Let me know in the comments if you saw Sky High. I did. I did. And that movie was fine. It's not like it's not amazing. It's not. So let's get to this movie. So we get we start on Ryan Reynolds, and things get weird. The whole movie is this weird mix of things that are complicated and things that are attempting to dumb down aggressively. So we see Ryan Reynolds. He's technically a non-playable character in a video game. But how does Ryan Reynolds act on it? He's this naive, dumb guy who loves everything in the world. I feel like I was supposed to identify with this character or fall in love with this character a lot more than I did. It felt like it was just kind of like, oh, he's doing a funny thing. I'm not laughing, but he's a funny individual. And I think the whole reason for this naive character was to set up the very abrupt plot twist, which I'll get to in a second. But uh, and his name is Guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. I'm not your buddy, Guy. South Park reference. It's Guy is a real first name, but it's very distracting because you're watching a movie called Free Guy, and his name is Guy, and then there's the whole NPC theme where so they're nameless. The NPCs are nameless guys. It's just like thematic weight bearing down on you just hearing his name. They should have called him like Mr. Nobody with a redeemable story arc or something. Just made it super clear. So let's talk about this game the characters are in. Now, it's not fair, but I'm doing it. It's not fair to say this movie sucked because the video game they're in is not realistic. But I do think, because you could say, oh, the story's gonna justify these quick cut tropes. The characters are more important. But I do think you got a lot of laziness in the video game design. Well, not even not the video game design per se, but like the interpretation or simplification of video game design, how they deal with computer programming, how Twitch streaming works. Not to mention, as we'll get to later, the general genre laziness of the script. You get this whole feel that like, oh, this movie doesn't matter a ton. You get people in for Ryan Reynolds, the promise of a joke that arguably never comes, but the world and the story building, it's like, that's just, the sort of matchstick tower built underneath Ryan Reynolds. So let's talk about playing this game. So the game itself is very similar to GTA Online. As I'm sure you all know, Grand Theft Auto is a more of a single-player experience where there's missions and a story, but you can also go through the world and commit crimes, and kill non-playable characters, steal cars, fun stuff like that. I mean, it's fine. And GTA Online is where you've got real people running around as the criminals in this world with other stuff going on. So it's like GTA Online, but they have this insanely anal mechanic. Every player in the game has sunglasses. And the sunglasses, for some reason, you need the sunglasses to make the HUD work. HUD is short for heads up display. It's this, every game has this. It's like a notion where you have you have your map in the bottom right hand corner, you have a health bar here, weapons here. You can see what's going on and make quick determinations of the world. And then the movie makes it very clear that you need sunglasses to make this work, despite every game ever having that just locked into the interface. And then you can have your sunglasses come off and lose your HUD. And it's just like, this game has a lot of what I would call, what I call very cleverly, not at all clever, whoops programming. Whoops. Where the game makes these internal mistakes that the programmers somehow did not account for. But in reality, in order to have sunglasses that make the HUD work, and you lose your sunglasses and the HUDs don't work, you'd actually have to go in and program even more to make this intricately possible. But the game just ignores that, so smart people watching this movie are just like, oh, I'm too smart for this movie. I should have taken my fictional nephew. His name's Huey. Or was it Dewey? Louie? Speaking of weird programming, you have an NPC character who works at the bank. His job is to be sitting at the bank and react when the player robs the bank. But he lives in a studio apartment with a pet goldfish, and he walks to work every day, and he has to get a cup of coffee every day. There's no actual player who's going to interact with any of this background stuff. So it's just like a crazy investment on the server for this crap. It's like this game was programmed by some kind of person with obsessive tendencies who's just like, I gotta build this up. It's not a very sustainable model of programming, obviously. And the game, let's be honest. Let's be honest with each other. I mean, there's no Metacritic score for the game because it doesn't exist. But the gameplay is really shallow. It's like you kill other players, and then you get the other player's stuff, and this stuff repeats in perpetuity. And I know what you're gonna say. It's gonna be like, these games exist, kind of. Yeah, Fortnite, probably better ones, but GTA Online. You can kill other people and get their stuff, but there's more to it. There's a world there. We're gonna get to how crappy this world is in a second. So it's crazy to me because the whole plot of the movie obviously is that we have these non-playable characters who are more than they seem and deeper than you realize. But the game itself just doesn't use these non-playable characters. There's no kill this big boss, get the secret thing from this character. None of that. And speaking, because it's one thing not to have big events, but let's talk about this game world. Uh, this game seems to take place in literally. I'm being like kind here. 3 square miles of downtown Boston. It's like the same like bank building thing here, bank building. There's a park over there, and that's it. And then there's a beach, but even the beach has a virtual wall you can't cross. So it's like, despite being in some ways the most complicated, intricately designed game ever in the minutia, in the real world, this is the worst game ever. It would barely, work on like the PlayStation 2 or something. And because like to use the obvious contrast, the real Grand Theft Auto games, even GTA Online, they give you it's like the full city of Los Angeles to run around in, called Los Santos, but I'm talking about GTA 5, and you get side quests, stories, Easter eggs, and this place is like you stand on one corner and you turn to the camera. And then speaking of the camera, I'm having a hard time explaining what's going on here, but I know it's weird. Okay, it's like I said, this game is like GTA. You're playing the game, you can be killed and reboot, respawn, or whatever in a flash. But also, it's very important that your avatars they're like CGI versions of yourself, and you can turn to a camera and appeal to Twitch streamers in mid-game. So it's like, the game is very haphazard. It's like, when Ryan Reynolds is in an action sequence, it's a GTA game. When he's in a dialogue sequence, we get these weird Second Life looking talk show avatar, CGI characters. Give you an example. There's a prolonged sequence that was like, it was a little funny. It was, free guy funny is the term now. So Channing Tatum is an avatar in the game, and he wants to help Ryan Reynolds, and he does these freaky dances and weird sexual advances on Ryan Reynolds for the benefit of his followers, presumably on Twitch. They don't say, but whatever. So I have to say, Channing Tatum had this I didn't think it was Channing Tatum. I thought it was a guy who looked like him, because when I saw it was Channing Tatum, it's like he seemed kind of tired, or not fully giving the Channing Tatum energy, and I cannot blame him. This is not the most original script of Channing Tatum's career. It might be the bottom. So try to unpack this. Having a camera in your video game is surreal. I mean, I guess technically, any 3D game any game has a camera perspective or something, but that's like show you what you're doing. This is like, turn this angle and you're looking down the barrel and you're connecting directly to streamers. Again, this seemingly weird thing would require so much intricate programming to make it work, possibly inventing new technology that does not exist. And then it's just like you made a GTA game, so it's not like the most integral thing to your game, but somehow this is the most innovative aspect. Speaking of streaming, I appreciated, air quotes brought to you by Rice Krispie Treats. Not really. A lot of streamers going, they'll just show up. The movie screen will be full screen of a streamer, and they'll be like, "Oh, I really like this Ryan Reynolds character, free guy," or it gets even cheesier because later on it's like, Ryan Reynolds is potentially gonna get deleted or something, and then some streamer comes on and is like, they can't delete that guy. I like him. It's like, it's not great acting, and I recognize some people, not by name. I'm not that big into streaming, but it was a very repetitive gimmick. They did it like 5-6 times, and I think it's funny. Act like video game streamers are now news reporters who aren't just interacting with people, giving them money. Sorry. True, but sorry. Uh, no, it's not. I don't know if it's true, but it's they're not reporters. Um, yeah, so I like just to reiterate the point, hopefully for the last time, but probably not. Movies have to take shortcuts in reality all the time, especially these sort of broad comedies. But I do think getting so weird in the world building was just it gave the notion that the movie itself didn't take even like the basics of a lot of human interaction seriously, if that makes sense. And speaking of awkward human interaction, let's get into the plot. So, our naive goldfish, Ryan Reynolds, see what they did there. See, he has a goldfish, and his energy and attention thing resembles a goldfish. That's screenwriting. So Ryan, or Guy, I'm gonna say Ryan a lot. He sees this British woman player character, and he falls in love with her. So the plot is just loopy right away. You think he's in love with her because she's generically young, pretty, white. There's not a lot of no love interests who are not white. Anyway, you think he's in love with her because she's beautiful, young, flexible, probably. But and it's so weird because he sees her and he's like, "Oh, I'm in love with you," but she's got like a big red wig on. She's got these big clear sunglasses. It makes it look like she's blind as a bat, and she's got like leather suspenders and these bulky leather pants. I guess it's like an original look. Is it an original look? But I don't know. It's not the most like, meet cute, super attractive look. The wig alone. But then it turns out he loves her because she obsessively hums the one licensed song they decided to get. And that's filmmaking. You don't want a variety of music you have to pay for. It's just one line from Fantasy by Mariah Carey. It's not even like a complicated lyric. It's just like, sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. I know you're thinking Mariah Carey's not in the room. And then he loves her even more because she likes bubblegum ice cream, which gave us this award-winning dialogue. It's bubblegum ice cream. You like bubblegum ice cream? I do. That's my favorite. No one likes bubblegum ice cream. Well, that was pretty close. So then it turns out our British girl is actually an American game designer who programs a British accent on her avatar, which, to get technical again, she has a headset and she's going one-to-one into the game speaking, which is already, for a GTA game, why do you have to have your character speak? I don't know. And it's translating directly into this perfect pronunciation and facial thing of the British. This game is like revolutionizing the game industry and not even acknowledging it. Okay, less nitpicking. No way. Okay, anyway. Anyway, I want to talk about the actress a little bit who played this not British. It was this young girl I never heard of. This could have been, the great discovery moment. We found the next ingenue, the next great actress. But it's more like, keep acting. But anyway, it seemed like she was actually British. Like the British sequences were more natural, and then she had an American accent that she had to put on when she was for real. Just like, why are we doing this at all? Even if she was American and doing a British accent, just get a British character, spice up the world a little bit. But her American accent was terrible. Hopefully she's British, because there's so many dead vowels. Her muted emotions were going more muted. Just kidding. She's terrific. I want to work with her someday. So anyway, that smile joke went perfect. So the lazy rom-com kicks in, which in some ways was comforting, instead of being like, oh, video games. It's like, oh, finally. crappy thing I've seen before. Anyway, so they start dating. She's dating a computer program, but she doesn't know it. But then we get the weirdest, maybe the weird, it's a pretty weird lazy shift because we go from the rom-com to we gotta save the world from the inside plot. Okay. The closest I could think of was All the President's Men, or something like that, where it's like, we know the corporation we're working for is telling us lies, they're doing bad things, we have to stop them, and we don't know how. 2 seconds ago, you were eating bubblegum ice cream at the park. But, to each their own. And it was just kind of lazy. I'll get into that a little more in a second. So, the plot convolution went from, oh, this world is weird, to, no, now they're explaining stuff I don't want to, I'm tired. Turns out Ryan Reynolds, his NPC, is leftover material from a previous game that not British, that the not British girl. And then weirdly, the mullet jerk from Stranger Things, they worked on that game together, and now they're main characters. And it's like, real quickly, it's probably not that easy to take a totally different game like that and just dump it into this game and pretend that allows you to build an MMORPG set in the GTA universe in 3 blocks of Boston. I want to stop talking about these dumb games, but so they go into detail about what their previous game was. The pitch is they put in an AI that evolves naturally. What the fuck does that mean? It's like, they just like go and it changes. And they're very vague about what that means at the end game. And you don't play the game, you watch the evolution. Which, human evolution was billions of years, millions, whatever. And not only that, it's weird because you say they're going to evolve. My brain was like, they're going to turn into like robots or super aliens or humans with an extra eyeball. It's like very, very weird energy saying your characters evolve. So then skip ahead to point out how stupid this game is. At the end, the good guys win. They get their evolution game is like super successful without explaining how, and it replaces GTA on the market. And it was the game looked terrible. You win and you get the moment in the sun, and your game looks like shit. It's like it's the same world as the GTA. It's like buildings but covered in moss, and your AI types who did not change. I guess their evolution is more mental. So it's still Ryan Reynolds as the bank guy. His friend Little Rel Howery as the other is the bank guard, and they walk around. And no one can play this game. And somehow it's like an insanely popular game that revolutionized the market. It's kind of like this movie. It doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why I watched it. So let's get, we have a new character, Stranger Things guy with his glasses. Everyone has glasses in this game. This Lens Crafters presents video games. Millhouse, why'd you buy 100 games made by Lens Crafters? The Stranger Things guy has great dialogue, such as my favorite line. I love ones and zeros. It's so much better than words. Binary is a language. You're programming with a language. Do you even know what you're doing when you're programming? Please don't give me feedback in the comments about programming because I am not a programmer either. But apparently I know more than the programmer in this movie. So, anyway, now the heroes have to save Ryan Reynolds from the game, but he's still in the game. What's their clever? They have a clever plan. So Stranger Things, he works at the video game that stole their boring AI Evolve game, and was, is now in the GTA game. So Stranger Things, he goes to work and uses their computers to manipulate the GTA game. Oh, the subterfuge. So clever. It's like the bad guys don't figure it out like forever. And when they do, he's literally in the bad guy's office with his computer about to get fired, and he goes he like presses buttons and does things. No. And okay, let's talk about the computer company. The evil boss is played by Taika Waititi, in probably the worst role of his career, in that it was only mostly charming. Damn, that guy could read the phone book in the middle of the room, and it'd still be like, man, I like that guy. So his backstory is he stole their stupid game, correctly diagnosed it as being a stupid game, and then put it in his GTA clone. But because he stole, that's the only thing we're going to focus on, not his savvy video game sense. So we got to put plot barriers to make the movie way too long. It's 2 hours long. With the enjoyment level, it should have been an hour, but an hour and a half would have been good. Anyway, we gotta our mid-act break, give Ryan Reynolds problems, so he gets rebooted to his pre-woke self. No evolution for you. And but then he just kind of snaps out of it. He's like, I'm gonna get on this again and again and again. These are the worst video game programmers ever. You want to get Ryan Reynolds out of the game, get him out of the game. But no, he's got secret programming. And then to save the day, he has to make a very literal run across the ocean to the evolution game that no one likes. So more nitpicks. But I'm sorry, it's just this movie is just punishes people who think. Yeah. So Taika Waititi is super slow to figure out if I just destroy the game, I win. Now you think, oh, it's his game, so. But then they make a big point of saying in 2 days he's launching a sequel to the GTA game that is unrelated to the previous game. So he's micromanaging a server for a game that's going to lead to his downfall and give him all these problems. When he could just scrap it and go to the new game. So the big one at the end is he's done micromanaging and he's gonna do something desperate. Although I would argue it's just the logical thing to do. He goes to the server room and he starts hitting servers with axes. And here's the thing: what do you think happens if you got these interconnected servers that run a game? First of all, it's way too many servers. Or is it? Let me know in the comments. Do you think GTA Online has a giant server room like that? Seems impractical. I don't know how games work. But anyway, that was pointless. So you hit 10 interconnected servers and destroy them. What do you think happens? Well, according to this movie, Ryan Reynolds is running across a bridge that Stranger Things built with his computer. Little squares on the bridge disappeared. And Ryan Reynolds keeps running. There's no buffering of the frame rate. There's no. The game is gonna slow down and probably crash. Okay? I mean, the game is based on a user interface. So, this goes to a bigger question. Why are we seeing so much exclusively Ryan Reynolds and a bunch of NPCs when the game is clearly not designed to work that way? What is this game's deal with NPCs? It's like you were told to program a game and you just got it way in your head and wrote a screenplay. I don't know. Okay, so we gotta stop Ryan Reynolds. Here's our big set piece. Who's coming? It's a super buff guy with Ryan Reynolds' face. Why does he have Ryan Reynolds' face? I thought, it's like Free Guy is, or Guy, Ryan Reynolds is the guy who's important. So why are you making more Ryan Reynolds? Is that some kind? They didn't. If that was supposed to be like some kind of kryptonite to Ryan Reynolds, fight yourself. They didn't explain that. But anyway, super buff guy, and they get in a fist fight. I don't want to nitpick this much, but you guys are computer programmers. Every dimension of this game is built off of your code. It's not like you give it. I guess you stole the game, but then, okay, two things. First of all, if you stole the game and built GTA on top of it, why is there an island over there that has the other game? Wouldn't the other game be infused into the GTA? Second of all, take away the other game. Real programming, okay? Your code is building everything. This is how the ground works. This is how the buildings work. This is how jumping works. Blah, blah, blah. If you want to take him out, you don't put in a defeatable villain and throw him in there. You make the ground disappear. You pinch him with a cursor and, lift him in the air. You make an island on the other side of the ocean and stick him on there. It's not that complicated. But no, we gotta have a realistic fist fight in a video game. Why was this not just a realistic movie? So Ryan defeats Buff Ryan. There's this very cool look. It's Disney montage. Look at all the properties we own. Oh. It's like Ryan Reynolds gets a lightsaber from the Star Wars, and he gets Hulk's fist at one point, and as well as Captain America's shield from the MCU. The Chris Evans cameo where he watches on his phone is hilarious and the highlight of the movie, honestly. Okay, but also problems with the movie are all over the place. Why? How is Chris Evans watching this on his phone? Is the news live streaming the game to show the NPCs? Is there a Twitch gamer who's running around the beach giving us camera angles from his live stream? Is there a previously non-existent business model where a video game company is somehow running some kind of media channel or TV channel or something that shows video games? And never mind the fact that if the video game company is evil and doesn't want you to see things, why wouldn't they have a way of blocking access to streaming feeds? People do this, real people block streaming feeds all the time because of copyright issues or political things. And it's like, this is villainy. Block the feed. So the good guys win. I know you're shocked. No nuance in this movie. Yeah. So fake British girl with her fake American accent realizes that Stranger Things programmed Ryan Reynolds to like sweet, sweet, fantasy baby and bubblegum ice cream because she likes bubblegum ice cream, and he, Stranger Things, loves her in the real world, which was super clear from the first scene we saw Stranger Things, which is kind of annoying. I feel like, you knew where this movie was going at least a half hour in, and you were stuck another hour and a half in there. And then the NPCs get their boring ass life. At least there's no real clear sequel bait, because that AI world is stupid, and the GTA world wasn't much better. Taika Waititi is it turns out Taika Waititi, he got to do his GTA sequels, but this is like Scientology. It's like religion shit. It's like the power of the AI Evolve game was so great that it crippled the economy of the GTA clones. That's how gaming works. The game, no one would like. Never mind. Even if people love that game, it's not a GTA game. So the GTA 2 game should have made money. So to summarize, no more technological nitpicks, I hope. But this movie fails. I would argue, in a way, it fails spectacularly, but in a way, it just fails with a lot of bombastic mediocrity. You know, it posits itself as this action comedy a la Deadpool or something else that's more exciting than this movie, but the action is not that memorable. And it actually turns out the movie's kind of tame. It's, you know, they really capitalize on, oh, cars will explode and people will shoot each other, but like those are like quick moments. There's no set pieces. There's no, you know, vengeful retaliation like Deadpool. There's nothing clever like that. We get some we got some floating f bombs to make this movie a little more adult, but in general, I'd say it's like holding back for more crossover appeal, despite its largesse of a premise. Like I say, the romantic comedy element, which was very generic, it was very tacked on. Bubblegum Ice Cream Date was excruciating to watch. I forgot the part where Ryan Reynolds is like, "I want to kiss you," and they kiss, and it's so slow. It's like a self-aware meet cute that was forgot that it was self-aware. It felt, you know, a pre-parody was a lot of the emotion in this movie. And then the whole Save the AI plot and Stranger Things with his big glasses going like, you know, this is AI is alive, man. We can't let this happen. What are we gonna do? It kind of came in a little late, and it was very convoluted, and it was just like words, words and video games programming, and it didn't make a ton of sense. I mean, I figured it. I mean, obviously you figure it out, but it's like leaves a little meh. Obviously, I think I made 100 comments on here about how stupid the realism of video games was, and I'm not a big programmer or anything. It's just obvious that this game just takes liberties in order to push through, but then weirdly seems to labor itself with more convoluted stuff also. Like, if it was just skipping steps in video games to be fun, that'd be okay. But it's like it wants to be pretentious about technology and then has to shortcut it, and then, you know, it's like zigzagging. I mean, you know, you could argue it's got some basic novel concepts, but it's like a big comedy about video games that then immediately did not want to be funny, and honestly didn't want to be that unique. And if we were supposed to feel the drama of the AI, it felt unearned. It's like it would have been sad if, like, you know, Little Rel Howery in particular, because he seemed like a good guy, like if he went away or something, but it's hollow. It rang hollow. I don't know anything I thought about that. I just felt like, you know what's going to happen. And it did. There was not a lot of twists that were not easily predictable. In conclusion, this went way longer than I expected, but I will give Free Guy a should only be on free cable out of 10. Thank you. Hopefully this microphone worked. And good night, everybody.